call, but let me go ahead and start for today. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our TATT Chat for June. I'm Dean Hebel, the Executive Director of TATT at the Top, and we are pleased to have you with us for today's TATT Chat. Some of you are old hats and know that we began this series back at the beginning of COVID in April of 2020 as a way to stay engaged and connected across the upstate. And it has been a great way to continue doing that without people having to get in the car and drive to one place or another over the 5 years since. So we're glad to have you with us today. If you would like to put your name and organization in the chat, please feel free to do so. This, one of the keys of our work and connecting and building relationships is for folks to be able to create relationships with each other. So if you want to connect with others who are on the call, please feel free to do that. It's been a busy first half of the year almost. I can't believe we're almost at the midway mark for 2025 for TATT at the Top. To date, we have hosted 32 regional engagements with about 915 participants, but we will be adding to that total quite a bit in the next couple weeks, as you will hear from me right now. Please mark your calendars, and we'd love to have you join us when you can. On June 20th, we're hosting our monthly Upstate Connect, which will be here in our building, the Park 37 complex in the community room. This is an event we do every month from 9 to 10:15 on the third Friday of the month. And we have a really cool session this month, training tomorrow's workforce with virtual reality. And we're going to have the virtual reality headsets. If you came to our summit last year, we had some of them there, and you'll get a chance to check it out and see about the latest training techniques through VR, and everybody will get a chance to try them. And I think it'll be a cool way of seeing how technology is helping to advance the workforce and workforce training here in the upstate. Celeste is putting the link to that and the other events that we have that I'm going to mention here coming up. The next event after that is on Monday, June 23rd. We'll be hosting the second of 3 planning meetings of the Upstate Professional Planners and Housing Sector Experts that are looking at regulatory barriers to housing affordability. This group is developing a series of recommendations related to housing affordability that we will be presenting at the second Upstate Homelessness and Housing Forum, which is going to be held on October 22nd at the Gibbs Cancer Center off of Pelham Road. If you're interested in participating in the planning meeting on June 23rd, you can register through the link that Celeste is putting there. We will be sending out information for the October meeting as we get closer to that date. Then on June 24th, on Tuesday of that week, we'll be hosting our quarterly pizza and networking event at 9/8 Central, which is also known as the Pronk Studios. The topic for the session is how to win attention and trust on social media. And it will be led by Will Stewart, the CEO and founder of 9/8 Studio. This event is for top board members, community partners, current funding partners, and potential funding partners. So if you're interested, we would love to have you there on June 24th, and Celeste is putting that link in as well. Then finally, in terms of June events, we are wrapping up the first year of our Upstate Downtown Academy series on June 26th. We're headed to Greenwood, and you will not want to miss this chance to see the great vibrancy that is happening in Uptown Greenwood. most especially their topiaries that are out every June for the Festival of Flowers. If you have never seen the topiaries, you will not want to miss this opportunity. It is really amazing what they do with the topiaries. They are beautiful. If you ever watch like the Tournament of Roses parade, and they have the floats and things made out of flowers, this is the same kind of thing with the topiaries, and they are just amazing, and they're all over downtown, and we're going to hear about that, but then also about all the other things they have going. We hold that to about 25 or 30 people, and so we only have, I think, about 7 or 8 spots left. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to join us for that session to register today. I'll wrap up and get started by just saying that we are very blessed at TATT at the Top to have some amazing funding partners. You can see our leadership level partners on the slide that is on your screen. We have about 115 total partners, and Celeste will put that link in for you. And we thank everybody who is a TATT at the Top funding partner. If your organization is not, or your business is not a funding partner, we would encourage you to become one of our funding partners. We are glad to add additional partners for our work. And we are not an organization that has a dedicated funding source. So all of our funding comes from our funding partners. So if you're interested in getting connected, please reach out to me or Celeste, and we will be glad to talk to you and connect you. So with that, I get to do a very fun thing today. We often have one guest speaker and then a resource update, but today we wanted to highlight 2 of our really great organizations here in the upstate that do a lot of wonderful work and come at it maybe from a slightly different perspective, but are important parts of making sure that this is a place that is warm and welcoming for everyone. So we're going to start with my dear friend and TATT at the Top board member, Adela Mendoza, and then go to Melanie Huggins, who is the CEO of the Mountains to Midlands Girl Scouts. What we're going to do is Adela is going to talk for 15-20 minutes, and then we'll answer a couple questions for her, and then Melanie is going to talk, and then we'll answer some questions for her as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. So I was very fortunate about a month ago, I guess, to attend the 15th anniversary kickoff of the 15th anniversary year for the Hispanic Alliance. We had our 15th with TATT at the Top last year, so it's cool to see another organization that is in a similar age group and really thriving here in the upstate. So Adela, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you share a little bit about the great work that you guys are doing and what you have planned in the coming months.
Thank you so much, Dane, and thank you for the invitation. It's so fun that I've been watching this as a board member, and I just get an opportunity to talk a little bit about the Hispanic Alliance, which we're always excited to do. And so we are very passionate about our work, and so I wanted to have 2 of my team members with me so that you got a chance to meet them. I know a lot of you in the call, and it's so great to see names that I haven't seen for a while. So I'll be following up for coffee or lunch meetings. I would love to reconnect. But as Dean said, I have the honor of serving on the TATT at the Top board. And the Hispanic Alliance is similar to TATT at the Top in the sense that we are conveners as well. This is a big year for us. We are celebrating our 15-year anniversary. And we are fully embracing the Hispanic culture, and we're calling it our quinceañera year. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but in the Hispanic culture, the 15-year birthday for a girl is a big deal, and it's kind of like the sweet 16, but people usually throw very big parties, and they invite everyone that they know, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing this year. Andrew is going to talk a little bit about our event, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. But so we wanted to prepare just some overview of the Hispanic Alliance for those of you who may not be closely familiar with us. So I'm going to ask Andrew Skinner, and well, I should introduce my team first. So Andrew Skinner is the Director of Development and PR for HA, and then we have Cesar Salas, who does the same. He does the coordination for our development and PR, and they are very active in the community. So I'm sure that you've had a chance to meet them, but today you get a real treat because you'll be hearing from them. And so I'm going to ask Andrew to share our screen, and please just let's make this conversation also. Stop me at any moment if you have questions. As you probably, if you watch the news, you'll know that the Hispanic population, is experiencing some challenges as well as the immigrant population. And we are very fortunate to have a very strong board that for many years planned very carefully the future of our organization. So before we even had the words to describe what collective impact was, that was what the Hispanic Alliance was from the inception. So many years ago, actually in 2005, a group of leaders in the community from very different backgrounds decided to come together to figure out how to create access to the Hispanic population. Even now in 2025, it is still a challenge sometimes for immigrant communities to find the access and create the opportunities that they need for themselves. And so can you imagine in 2005, that was very much a challenge. And so this visionary group of people came together and they wanted to answer a question, which was, how can we together create true opportunity for this community? And then the inception of the Hispanic community was right there by creating dialogue, by talking to one another. And really, they came together under the umbrella of collaboration and connection. And so the Hispanic Alliance has always been a very diverse, very inclusive group of people. For those of you who may be interested in joining us, you don't have to be Hispanic, you don't have to speak Spanish. We welcome everyone. And especially during these times, it's very important that we continue to create that access for anyone that wants to be involved. And so we started as a grassroots group, initially providing a bridge of connectivity to the most basic resources. As the Hispanic community has evolved, so has our mission. And so now we focus very heavily on creating access to information and education for our partners so that we can help you increase access for this population to your services. So think about the Hispanic Alliance as a bridge very much of communication, understanding, collaboration. And so we have been operating for 15 years as a nonprofit. And it has been just wonderful to see how our mission continues to evolve. Andrew, if you will go to the next slide. I wanted to show this to you because, Dean, you were at this event, and we were so thrilled to see some of our founding members come together and meet some of the students that we are now empowering as the future leaders for South Carolina. And so our mission is all about people. And so the work that we do is very community-centered. Every program that you'll see out there in the Hispanic community or offered to the Hispanic community rather has been created because there has been a need for that. And so we actively listen to our community to understand what their needs are or their opportunities are right now with a very rapidly changing landscape in South Carolina. And so why does the Hispanic Alliance exist? As you probably know well, the Hispanic population has grown very rapidly in South Carolina. You might be surprised to know that our state is one of 3 states with the fastest growth of the Hispanic population in the country, which is just remarkable. If you're curious to know the other 2, actually it's North Dakota, South Dakota, and then South Carolina. But so with the very rapid growth of this population, obviously our systems have been challenged. The Hispanic population is fairly new to the States. On average, the Hispanic person who comes from Mexico, for example, has been in the US for about 20 years. We are now seeing the second generation of the Hispanic Americans, Hispanic Americans that are being raised in our systems, very capable of speaking English and navigating systems, but we still have a population that requires assistance when it comes to understanding what opportunities are for them, what are the resources available to them. And so the Hispanic Alliance very much focuses on that, as well as on systems level change. And so we literally operate at the intersection of community engagement and systems. And so I'm going to turn it over to Cesar for him to tell you a little bit about our collaborative model and how we work with our partners and our network.
Thank you, Adela. And I just wanted to do a quick, what is it, shameless plug here, but I also have the honor of serving the Peak Committee for 10 at the Top. So thank you all for giving us this opportunity to speak. But as Adela mentioned, our model is a collaborative and people-centered effort where we're trying to connect the people who need the services with all of the service providers, all of the different organizations and businesses out there. So if you look at the picture in front of you, we have four main groups: the education, financial stability, legal access, and health. And much like 10 at the top, we also have our network uh, efforts where we are trying to connect all of those different nonprofits and resources to those in our community who can use them. And as the charts showed you before, we are continuing to grow. I mean, over 60,000 Hispanics here just in Greenville. And so with all of that growth, the needs have also changed. And so the Hispanic Alliance continues to evolve. And we have since added, I'll start in order, the Student Dreamers Alliance in 2015, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we had the Arts and Culture. If you were here in 2021, you maybe got to witness the beautiful bronze sculptures that were out in Falls Park and the Peace Center. And then the last part was last year, we started with our advocacy and policy side of things with our program called Allied for SC, which was another amazing collaboration between 10 at the Top and Allied for Work effort, which we'll cover a little bit more about that, but it has really been incredible to see that that growth and evolution. So as promised, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Student Dreamers Alliance. And if you ever heard of Leadership Greenville, I also just had the privilege of being a part of this cohort 51. So think of Leadership Greenville, if any of you have done it, think of that for Hispanic students out of Berea, Carolina High School, as well as Charleston. So I won't steal anyone's thunder, but it is a leadership accelerator program where we're teaching students a lot of different tools to become the next generation of leaders. Um, One thing that I love sharing is that the first year that I worked at the Hispanic Alliance, I I had this opportunity to go to every single one of the presentations and the seminars. What was really amazing that Adela really, I think she let me do it because typically our guests don't really have a lot of input or say interact with the program because it is such a tight schedule. But I was learning so much, even through seeing the moderators, to listening and reading all of the readings that we had through even our public speaking coach. And I was just amazed by all of it, that I was raising my hand and participating as if I was back in high school. And truly, that's what it's all about, is giving the students the platform and the opportunity to shine and show up as their best authentic selves. So with all of that said, Andrew can cover a little bit more in depth about what the Student Dreamers Alliance program is all about. I'm wearing my shirt, the same shirt that the students are wearing. So thank you all again.
Well said, Caesar. I never tire of hearing your personal connection to the work. I don't necessarily have the same background that Caesar and Adela do, right? I get to be one of the allies for the Hispanic Alliance, and what I love about this opportunity, and especially through the Student Dreamers Alliance, is how much we learn from these kids, right? So this is a 10-year project that was started because there's a need for Hispanic leadership in the state of South Carolina. If we look at that population growth, and also as the population continues to trend to a younger generation, what is the Hispanic Alliance doing to ensure that that next generation has equitable access to opportunity and leadership in the state of South Carolina? That's one of the core components of our mission, is how are we ensuring that the Palmetto State, that Greenville County, that the upstate is better off because the Hispanic Alliance existed? And we do that through partnerships, And the Student Dreamers Alliance is a great example with that. We have a wonderful partnership here in the upstate with Greenville County Schools, Berea and Carolina High Schools, and then we're developing new partnerships in the Low Country with the Charleston County School District. And so over 10 years, we are now at 244 fellow alumni members of the Student Dreamers Alliance. And so if you think kind of big picture, it is this alumni network of empowered young people in South Carolina who are well equipped to make good decisions for everybody who calls South Carolina home. That is fulfilling the mission of the Hispanic Alliance in a nutshell. Because if we look a little bit wider and a little bit about South Carolina in general, there is some limiting legislation that is out there specifically with regards to the Hispanic community. Two shining examples that I can share with you. We are one of 3 states who have limiting legislation for people with undocumented status here in the country to attend or enroll in public university here in the state of South Carolina. So that means if you don't have any sort of temporary protected visa or federal authorization to be in this country, you cannot even enroll in higher education. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand. When I moved to Greenville 3 years ago, I didn't know that was a thing, right? And so part of our role at the Hispanic Alliance as a convener is to help to educate the public about some of these opportunities to progress and empower our communities to be more accepting, but also to embrace the population, right? And welcome them in with open arms and create opportunities for them. Another great example is last year, it's been actually for a year, it's been a couple of years of progress, Adela, is a licensing workforce issue in South Carolina. And so that means, in a nutshell, if I can summarize House Bill 3211 this past legislative session, it is a 1-sentence piece of legislation that would amend our laws that if you have a DACA status, deferred action for childhood arrivals, or some other temporary protected visa. This means the federal government has authorized you to work in our country. You pay Social Security, taxes, you have a driver's license, and you are, and by no means a criminal, right? A good human, just with this sort of status. House Bill 3211 would change that and would allow these individuals to enter our workforce in over 40 licensed professions in the state of South Carolina. In summary, guys, there are over 5,500 individuals in South Carolina. If only 15% of those individuals were to enter the workforce, we're looking at $67.7 million of economic output for our state of South Carolina. That's the sort of transition that Caesar and Adela were alluding to as we grow and evolve as an organization. What can we do at a systems level to make sure that we are advocating on behalf of our community, but also trying to empower South Carolina to be a better place for us all. And so Allied for SC was a shining example of that. We focused on the equitable healthcare outcomes through partnerships with Bon Secours. They approached us and said, hey, we need more information. We need more data on what we can do to provide more adequate care for our Hispanic neighbors. And so it's a no-brainer for us, right? It's a win to partner with these organizations, to connect them with the community, and then to share that research and information with our community. We've done the exact same thing with the South Carolina Arts Commission. How can we create equitable outcomes in arts and culture here in South Carolina? So my call to action to you all is, one, if House Bill 3211 is something that you feel like you could raise your voice of, there was a QR code, I could go back one slide, find your representative, right? Call them and let them know that this is an important issue for you as a constituent, as a resident of South Carolina. But also become a champion for us, right? If you see us on social media, share the information. I think Adela, Caesar, and have shared the links to our research in the chat. I invite you, please, to go and educate yourself, right? And share that research with your friends, your network. And then if you have questions, please feel free to ask us. That's what we're here to do. Is Allied for SC was all about engaging in what we're doing right now, right? Public discourse, public dialogue, and let's talk about these issues. Adela, have I missed anything?
No, actually, thank you so much for mentioning all of those. I want to make sure everybody knows that I have dropped in the chat links to several reports that we did over the last couple of years. So when you think about civic engagement and how we move the needle in terms of building more equitable communities, we want to start with the data, but we also want to continue that education, if you will, with conversations around these issues. And so Allied for South Carolina is something that we'll continue to do. We were very, very fortunate to partner with 10 at the top. But really the focus of this is let's focus on the data. Let's see what our state needs. At the end of the day, whatever is happening federally in terms of immigration is probably outside of our reach, right? But one thing that we can definitely do is make an impact right here in South Carolina, ensure that we have the workforce that we need, that ultimately we are creating prosperity for everyone, right? So if we are able to create access to education for our youth, let's also make sure that they stay in South Carolina and that they are bringing their talents and they're contributing that the education that they pursued here, they're contributing their talents and their education here. And so obviously the session is now over, but we are building these relationships with different representatives. And I really encourage you to just bookmark those reports, whether you are passionate about arts, health, or economic development. There is really good information. They're pretty high level. We're always happy to provide you more data as partners in this effort. We want to work with anyone, who's interested in this work across South Carolina. So if we can provide you with more data from this research, just know that you can always reach out and we will be more than happy to provide that for you. But it's really exciting to see that we're moving the needle in terms of building understanding in the state. And we have many partners just in this call that have been very active in this work. So I want to thank you for that.
And so a quick update, right? So it's 2025. We've talked a lot about our history, and that is on purpose. It's an anniversary year. It's a time for celebration. One quick thing that is a little bit ironic, maybe Adela left it out of the kind of the genesis story of our organization, is in 2008 when our founding board members were starting that process of convening and connection. There was an immigration raid and up of the north side of town, and over 300 families were detained, or 300 individuals were detained, and families were separated. And so here we are, what's the math on that, Adela? A little over 17 years later, and we find ourselves in similar circumstances. And at the Hispanic Alliance, no matter which side of the line that you may fall on, our job, our charge, responsibility for our community is to provide them accurate information, to offer support services and education and advocacy. The exact same thing that our founding board members did in 2008. We find ourselves doing that today. And so we've done that through the same approach with partners, right? We have a legal team full of people who are specialized in what to do in these type of situations. And so we've prepared documents. We've distributed over 25,000 Know Your Rights cards to the community. And we'll ask you as well, and I think we'll put the link here in the chat, if you are interested in receiving some of these red Know Your Rights cards, it's literally a business card that an individual can have that informs them one side on English and one side in Spanish of the rights that they have in our country. Please fill out the form and request the cards. We would love to deliver some to you and just make sure that our community is empowered and know what rights they have. We've also conducted Know Your Rights workshops in partnership with law firms like Nelson Mullins, where they offer pro bono legal advice to individuals. And it kills me every time these words come out of my mouth, that have to make the heart-wrenching choice of how are their affairs in order, right? So if mom and dad were to no longer be in this country, what happens to the children? And so in these power of attorney workshops, sometimes that decision has to be made. And I can't believe I say that. It kills me every time, Adela.
Yeah, so this is
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. This is just the reality in which we are, right? I mean, so this is definitely an important year of celebration for us. At the same time, we are operating in this backdrop of some of these executive orders. And this really goes beyond, politics here. So we want to encourage you, if you have a large Hispanic workforce, or you have Hispanic, friends or immigrant friends in general, that may benefit from just knowing what the rights are. I will encourage you to reach out to us. We partner with a lot of systems, and we're providing this to hospitals, to free medical clinic. So as best as we can, we are creating a safe environment, and an environment in which our Hispanic neighbors feel comfortable navigating the same systems and the same experiences that we do.
And so it's a segue, but part of our responsibility, part of our mission as an organization, is to continue to elevate Hispanic culture, and celebrate the contributions that the Hispanic community brings, especially looking at 15 years of progress. Now is the prime opportunity to champion the progress that we've made with our partners. I mean, I see Dean on my screen, right? And I can't help to point out like how instrumental 10 at the Top has been in partnering with the Hispanic Alliance and shared progress. That is what our quinceañera of celebrations is all about, is celebrating the people, the partners, the institutions, the volunteers that make the Hispanic Alliance function, right? And continue to thrive. So I feel like we're coming close on time. I would love, if anybody has any questions, please share them with us. We'd be happy to answer them.
Well, I'm going to ask one just really quick, and then we will move on to Melanie. But just for those, just again in the screen, we've got your big events coming up in September through the end of the year, and certainly as these we get closer, we and others will help with promoting. But hopefully, folks will be able to participate and enjoy some of these celebrations of the culture that is growing here in this region. I guess my question, and of course, we all want to make sure that we're not being political in this time of challenges, but I think there is a misconception, and even in some of because you spend so much time talking about services and things for people who are maybe in this country without the proper visas and things of that nature. But, I believe, 97% of the Hispanics here in the upstate and in South Carolina are here legally, and many are citizens of this country. So how do you all make sure people understand that, yes, there is this perception about illegal immigrants and things of that nature, but the reality is that most of the people who are here of some Latino or Hispanic history and culture have chosen to be in this country and chosen to be here legally and through all those pieces. How do you make sure people understand that this is a thriving community, just like the Irish, or just like the Italians, or just like any other group? My family came here from Czechoslovakia 100 years ago, and so how do you all, Adela, make sure that that the folks who are here, Hispanic and the growing, feel fully part of this community, and how do you make sure others kind of understand that that the people who are here, who are of Hispanic culture or ethnicity, chose to be here, and
Yep.
in most cases are here with the same legality that everybody else is?
Well, thanks for that question. And I would say three things, right? First one is education, educating people on the data there are so many misperceptions. However, I think that South Carolina is changing, and I think that the influx of people from all over the world to the upstate has really helped that. When you think about the upstate, we have so much international industry, right? And so you're totally right. When we're talking about the international community, you need to be also thinking of the highly educated immigrants that come from Mexico, from Germany, from France, everywhere. You have Michelin headquarters, you have BMW, you have so many plants even here in Charleston as well. And so I think that has helped, the diversity of the immigrants that are in this area. Second thing is proximity. I think proximity really changes things, right? And so part of the reason why we are really investing in this youth leadership program is because we want to make sure that children, no matter what their background may be, they feel empowered and they feel welcome and they feel that they can achieve whatever they want. And I think creating proximity between those young leaders and more seasoned leaders really can change things. So one of the elements of our Student Dreamers Alliance program is mentorship. And we're very intentional to pair students with people who have similar experiences, but they don't necessarily need to be Hispanic, right? I mean, when I was new to the US and I was studying here, I was very fortunate to have mentors who didn't look like me, didn't sound like me. And I think that's a beautiful thing because it really opens up your mind, right? And the third thing is partnerships. I think the partnerships that we build through these convenings, very similarly to what 10 at the Top does, is it brings people together and it helps us understand that at the end of the day, if we want to live in a prosperous state, we gotta collaborate and we gotta do this together, right? And so I think the diversity of industry is also so important, which is one of the things that I enjoy the most about my board service at 10 at the Top, that you can bring together people from the nonprofit sector, corporations, education, etc. And I think especially during these polarized times, we ought to be very intentional about how we are building these partnerships and who we are working with and who we're bringing to the table. So thank you for that and for being mindful of, there are some misconceptions out there, but we trust that all of this information that we're providing on a regular basis is helping open minds. And one thing that I will close with is, for anyone in this call, we at the Hispanic Alliance, we really strive to be a safe space where you can come and ask whatever questions you have. And I am really, I'm always available to you, and my team is as well. You can ask any questions and you don't need to be politically correct. And I think that's the beginning of dialogue and understanding. Please call us. And if you're in doubt, just pick up the phone, call us, email us, and we will always be happy to answer your questions, to guide you perhaps on how to better serve this population, or to provide any data that may help you expand your work.
Well, thank you, Adela and Andrew and Cesar for being with us today and sharing, and the information they have shared is in the chat. We could certainly keep going, but I want to make sure we have plenty of time for Melanie with the Girl Scouts Midlands, or Mountains to Midlands. Melanie, I got to hear a few weeks ago speak about their organization, but she did it in such a really interesting and cool way, talking about kind of the state of girls and women in today's society. So it really fits with kind of, the topic we just had with the Hispanic Alliance. And so, Melanie, I'm going to bring you in and let you share, but welcome. And you are relatively new in this role, though your organization has been around for many, many years. So appreciate you being with us.
Melanie, you're mute.
You're muted.
I was trying to multitask, like show my screen and talk at the same time. That's probably not the best idea. I was saying that thank you, Dean, for having me. And I said that I could not be more thrilled to be on this call with Adela and her team. I think the work that they're doing is incredible, and I'm looking forward to some awesome partnerships with them as it relates to young Latino women who could benefit from what Girl Scouts has to offer and how we eliminate those barriers. So let me see if I can share my screen. Hopefully I can. Having a little bit of sharing entire screen. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen, but you're probably seeing a double of yourself, right? Let's see. Let's see. Can you see?
Yes, that's
Now,
getting
now
closer.
can you see? And are you seeing the presenter view? Or are you seeing just the slides?
We're seeing the presenter view.
Okay, let me see if I can stop that. And I'll just do play from current slide. Well, no, I don't want to see that. Hold on. Play from start. No. Hold on. Sorry. How do I turn the presenter view off? That's the question. Okay. Hold on. Let me try one more thing. Stop sharing for a sec. Okay. All right. I'm still seeing the presenter view, huh? Maybe. Well,
Let me see, Melanie, if I can,
I can just pull up the PDF. Yeah, you can pull up the PDF if you
yeah,
want.
Celeste, do you want to pull?
If you have it, I'll start talking while you're doing that.
Okay, are you doing that, Celeste?
If she's not, let's see. Hold on. Awesome. Maybe you can do a full screen on that, but that's okay if you can't. And I'll just, well, no, that's not going to work. Okay, well, we'll just talk, and there's a bunch of screens. There's some slides that you will not see, but anyway, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. When Dean was talking about what I talked about a few months ago, I'm new to this role, and if you could show the next slide, I'm certainly not new to Girl Scouts. I was a Brownie myself. That's me when I was a Brownie. And Mountains to Midlands is one of 2 Girl Scout councils within the state of South Carolina, and every county and 10 at the top is in our Mountains to Midlands Council. We serve 22 counties, and we have about 6,000 girl members, and then about 2,500 adult members that are troop leaders, chaperones. They help with all things Girl Scouts. Go ahead and flip through a couple next slides. Keep going. We're going to skip over some to keep going. When I left a 30-year career in public libraries, so what motivates me is getting information, education, the tools and skills to make people's lives better. That is exactly kind of in line with what Adela was just talking about the mission of Hispanic Alliance, but it's what motivates and drives me. And the reason that I decided I wanted to come to Girl Scouts after that long career is that I think that we can do better by the state of girls and women today. I think they need us more than ever. When you are thinking about some of the larger conversations about DEI initiatives, I think it's really important for you to remember that girls and women are among those groups that are also losing funding and losing support. So, you can think of DEI as other all you want to, but it is us. It is all of us. And girls and women are having a really being targeted in their programs and their education and their opportunities are being targeted in ways like we've never seen before. And when I've done these talks in other cities around the state, I ask this question: what do you think the biggest challenges are for girls today? And this is from the Greenville talk that I did. And you can see mental health, lack of confidence, social media, fear of the future. People understand what's going on with girls and women today. If anybody on this call has a young girl in their life, I'm curious, like, how old do you think girls are when they get their first cell phone? Any guesses about that? You can throw those ages in the chat. I can tell you it is pretty young, and we're going to, 10 o'clock, good guess. 7, I'm telling you, some of them are 7. If you see the way that new strollers are designed, my children are all grown, but strollers are designed with a little cell phone holder, and it's not for the parent, it's for the kid, right? So we're talking 10 and 11-year-olds are getting cell phones and getting on social media. So next slide, please. So I really want to make sure that I'm a librarian, so you're going to get all of these slides. slides, but I wanted to show two of the resources that I've really relied on to give me a great picture of the state of girls and women, and it's these two here. Next slide. So when you have 11-year-old girls getting cell phones, rocks, that study that you just saw referred to on the slide before, as a national qualitative survey of girls across the country from all demographics. And I want to point this out to you. 5th and 6th grade girls, or 10 and 11-year-olds, they are spending 6 or more hours each day on social media. 6 or more hours each day on social media. And that is up from what it was in 2017. Now, 46% of 10 and 11-year-old girls are saying they spend that much time on social media. And if you are a Black or brown girl, it is more than 6 hours per day. And what that is doing to our girls' image of themselves, their ability to move forward in the world with confidence, is devastating. Next slide, please. We know that, and girls are wise. Our young girls are really smart. This is a quote from a 6th grade girl that took part in this study. And I like to include this picture of one of an Instagram influencer that I follow. She is trying to debunk, this idea about what's real and what's not on social media, because she struggled with her own mental health. And even 6th grade girls know that what they're seeing is not real, but it is impacting their ability to move forward. Next slide. With confidence. This slide tells us from the ROC study that 88% of girls that responded to this survey in 2023 feel under pressure to be pretty. They are not confident about their bodies, and social media makes them want to change the way they look. Next slide. When you all watched the Super Bowl, which I hope you did, I hope you noticed how many commercials there were about girls and women's empowerment. And the Dove Foundation had this wonderful commercial that showed this little girl running that said at 3, she thinks her legs are unstoppable. At 14, she'll think they're unbearable. More girls quit sports in middle school because of their body type and of their body image. Next slide. And when you think about the pressures they're feeling to be pretty, to be a certain body type, to look a certain way, to act a certain way, the irony of all of this is that girls academically outperform boys starting in kindergarten all the way through college. They are more likely to be valedictorians. They're more likely to go to college right after high school. They're more likely to get advanced degrees. And another thing that I've learned since becoming the CEO of Girl Scouts Mountains to Midlands is that there are more women getting STEM degrees, science, technology, engineering, and math degrees, than there are men. So why are we still lacking women scientists and women CEOs and women senators? It is not their academic achievements. It is not their ability. I like to say it's the water that we're swimming in. There is still a culture and a bias against women in some of these fields that we desperately need women to be in. So next slide, please. We can skip this one because we've already talked a little bit about social media impact, but I wanted to show that the confidence gap is what is really holding girls back. It is their ability to turn their thoughts into action. It's their ability to understand that in order to build confidence, you have to take mistakes, you have to make mistakes, take risk, fail, and do it again and again and again and again. And women just are not biologically and physiologically wired that way. We are meant to be in communion with each other. If you've ever been a teacher or you've worked in a classroom, you love a classroom full of good girls that are going to raise their hand when they're supposed to, and not have, maybe boys that are going to jump up and run around and answer the questions wildly. So we constantly get accolades for doing the right thing, but it's keeping us back from taking risks. And this is not just Melanie's opinion, there's been a ton of research that shows that the confidence gap is what is keeping women from leadership positions. So Fifth grade girls describing themselves as confident in 2017, 86% in this study. In 2023, it was 68%. Girls also are saying they're afraid to lead because they don't want to be seen as bossy. So next slide, please. Which is why I am so thrilled to be the CEO of Girl Scouts of Mountains to Midlands, because we know that what we do works. Girl Scouts is 113 years old as an organization, but it feels very much like a startup right now, because what we're doing is trying to double down on the model of girl-led experiences, having girls be a part of it, and they get to decide what's important. They get to decide where they spend their time. They get to take risk in a very friendly and welcoming environment and build that confidence. And we know our program works. Next slide. Next slide. Because the more this is the one I was talking about. I would just want to say that this is girls that are even academically high achievers. Look at that last bar there. It says that girls that are making a 4.0 or higher are still doing everything they can to avoid messing up or failing. So even the smartest girls, the top of the class, are still scared of making mistakes. They want to be liked. They feel so much pressure. So next slide, please. So this is why I'm doing this work, because we know that Girl Scouts has and can be an antidote to a lot of the things that are pressures and ailing our girls today. Overall, as a state, we don't do great in overall child well-being, no matter what your color, ethnicity, or background. We, in 2024, I think we were ranked 40th there. You can see one of the worst states for overall child well-being, health, education, access to extracurricular activities. And in Greenville County alone, you can see that there are 60,000 girls that are ages 5 to 18, but look at how many fourth and fifth grade girls are actually in Girl Scouts, only 260. Look at how many 6th through 9th grade girls are in Girl Scouts, only 188. So I'm just going to close by saying we have a lot of work to do. Next slide. We know that we need to make Girl Scouts more accessible to all girls. We have raised money to eliminate barriers of cost. No girl has to pay for their membership that first year if they can afford it. We have camperships. So if there are girls that should be going and getting outside and going to camp and going to day camp, we have scholarships for those. The thing that is so important to understand about Girl Scouts, and you can stop sharing the slides now, Celeste, thank you. And there's more data in these slides that you'll get later, is that the longer a girl is involved in Girl Scouts, the higher her life outcomes are. There's so much great research about if you're in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of Girl Scouts, you're more likely to be a financially stable adult. You're more likely to vote. You're more likely to be civically engaged. We know the program works, but we've got to make it more visible and accessible. We are not just cookie time. We are not just about selling cookies. And I think that's my goal over the next few years, is to make sure that there are no barriers to membership for girls who want to participate, that we have diverse troop leaders that can welcome all girls of all backgrounds and make them feel seen and heard, that we are providing our program not just for our members. You don't have to be a Girl Scout to go to Girl Scout camp. 132 acres of beautiful Camp Wayback right outside of Travelers Rest, with a waterfall and rivers, a very affordable, as residential camps go, opportunity. You do not have to be a Girl Scout to go. I don't think that's widely known that you can go to Girl Scout camp. And then lastly, I will say I'm a very big champion of public spaces, and as a public library person who spent a lot of time developing amazing public spaces for people, I want our camps to be more accessible to everyone. I want people to come spend the day at Camp Wayback with their family and have a picnic. I want people to be able to go to that 53 beautiful acre Camp Mary Elizabeth in Spartanburg and, have a hike around with their children and do some archery and just play and get exposure to the outdoors. So those are my goals, is really to, eliminate barriers to members, make sure we are diverse and inclusive, make sure people know the program for Girl Scouts is available to all girls. You do not have to be a Girl Scout to participate, and to really look at our properties as community assets. So that's the real short version of my talk that you saw, Dean, and you'll get the slides that have more data and data points and information in them. But I'm happy to stop and take any questions or see if anybody wants to know more.
Well, great. And Melanie, if you would put your contact information in the chat too for anybody who is interested. I think you really hit a lot of really important points and kind of illustrates the challenges for all children, but most especially for girls in today's society. I guess my question for you, you mentioned that there's less than 200 girls in Greenville. I don't know what the number is across, the entire upstate or even into your Midlands. But what do you do in some of the more rural communities? Because I grew up in a very rural place in Virginia, and we have Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and it was critical for all of us as young children in a rural community to have that access. What is your strategies in the non-urban parts of the mountains to Midlands?
Well, thank you for asking that, because we certainly have a lot of rural communities within our council, and what I think is going to have to change. We do have some rural communities with strong scouting, Girl Scout presence, but what's going to really have to change is the model. The model relies on a woman. It's usually a woman who is a troop leader, who is usually a mom, who has the time and capacity and bandwidth to be a troop leader. And it takes a lot of work. So first and foremost, we're trying to make it easier. So we provide everything from experience boxes. If you're a new troop leader, you get a box with everything to run your first troop meeting. No problem, nothing you have to do to prepare. So we're trying to make it easier. But the big thing with the rural communities is we've got to have partnerships. We've got to be partnering with our rec centers, our churches, our public libraries, our community centers, so that you are going somewhere you already trust and you already know, and we're not coming in and trying to get you to join us. We are saying, let us join you. Let us shore up what you're already doing. And so that's the model that I am interested in, that I think will really help in the rural communities, especially.
Great. Well, we are just about out of time. So thank you so much for sharing. And I hope everybody appreciates. I think the information is great, and we'll be sending out, as we normally do, the recap from the session with both presentations from today. But I encourage you to reach out to Melanie and also to the Hispanic Alliance if you have more information or interest in the work of either of these organizations. So lastly, again, I want to thank you for joining us and choosing to be inside with us instead of out in the beautiful weather today. But hopefully you have enjoyed this opportunity to hear about two organizations and two groups in our community that are really doing things to push back against some of the challenges that are happening today. Our next TATT chat will be on July 10th. And for those of you who have attended the TATT chats before, usually our January TATT chat is with Scott Baer, who is an economist from Clemson University. Well, as we were preparing at the beginning of the year, Scott said, I really don't have any idea what's going to be going on with the new administration and things. But I think by July, I can give you kind of a better understanding of what some of the policies and things, the impacts that they have created. So please be sure and join us on July 10th, because Scott Baer is going to explain to all of us the economics of what's happening with tariffs and other things going on, good and bad, across our country. So Celeste is putting the chat for July in the or the link for July in the chat, but I hope you'll be able to join us. And with that, you heard me early on talk about all the things we have going on the rest of this month. I hope I will see you at one or more of those. And regardless, I hope you have a great rest of today and a great weekend. And again, thank you, Melanie and Adela and Cesar and Andrew for being with us today, and everybody being with us as we do this chat for June. So have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of
Bye.
the day and the weekend, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.